Hello again and welcome to Signs and Wonders. My theme for today is sound. Not long ago I was talking about colour and how that's associated with different qualities and different angels and so forth. And now I thought I would turn my attention to sound. Now again, when you think about angels, they're often associated with playing musical instruments. We have medieval pictures of them playing the lute or perhaps blowing a trumpet. Gabriel especially is associated with the trumpet because he announces the judgment day with a trumpet. And sound is, of course, the very nature of creation. Sound and vibration is embedded in the world. So it's no wonder that angels might be associated with sounds as well as colours. And I'll tell you one experience I had. I was not long ago talking about Mars and also about the Archangel Haniel, who presented himself to me as very red. And along with this colour of swirling reds, I didn't see a face or wings. I don't often see that kind of image, although sometimes I do. But along with that kind of swirling, pulsing red and magenta and cerise kind of colours that I saw, I also heard something. And it was the sound of something a bit like, let me think what kind of instrument. Well, do you know what a bodhran is? A bodhran, a kind of drum. So it was like a background drumming sound. That was what it was like. And a kind of pulsing. So I suppose you could say it was like a drum that you might summon you to war. But perhaps it was more to do with heartbeat of the blood flowing around the body. And it certainly reminded me of the kind of sound that you get in old Elizabethan music, you know, when they do that, those little jumps and things, boom, 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 in Renaissance music, if you know any. But if you don't, I can tell you that's the kind of sound that is in the background to the music, because it's got a particular kind of impetus to it. So I heard this sound at the same time as I was seeing these colours. And I'd be very interested to hear from anybody who watches these videos as to whether you do hear sounds if you experience the presence of an angel. Sometimes perhaps just a little whispering, like a breeze, a kind of fine vibration in the air around you, or maybe something a little bit more intense. I've often thought, and I've been talking to somebody who's one of my students recently about this, that what people describe as tinnitus, it could be a kind of buzzing coming from a high vibrational energy field. So anybody who's had those kind of experiences and has discovered that it's got more depth and meaning than might be first apparent, then do let me know. And generally speaking, I feel, and I've experienced this myself, that different angelic qualities can bring with them sounds that are not always just soothing and sweet, but are also quite enlivening in some way, that will kind of lift your energy and move it. And for that reason, I've often said to people when I'm teaching about angels, people who are doing healing work, who automatically say, oh, I'd like to work with Raphael because Raphael is the divine healer. And I say to them, well, sometimes Haniel can be a healer, even though that archangel may seem very challenging, because that energy of blood and vitality can be exactly what's needed for somebody perhaps who is suffering with depression. And so, doing some drumming along with some red colour might be very uplifting for anybody who's feeling a bit low. And just to go back to the Renaissance music, if I've got a morning when I'm feeling a bit slow off the mark, which in this grey weather happens to me more often than I would like, I will come in this room and I will play some of that Renaissance dance music, because that just gives me that oomphy feeling, and it gets my energy moving. Yes, so the sounds are really important, and it might be that choosing your sound carefully that makes you feel a certain way at a certain time can be crucial and can be really significant in your spiritual practice. So it's not always just sitting in silence. It's making sure that you've got music in your life that brings out the best in you. What in your life will bring out the idea of abundance and expansion we associate with the planet Jupiter and the Archangel Zadkiel. Find a piece of music that does that for you. I'll tell you what piece of music does that for me. Beethoven's Ode to Joy. And that is so stunning and uplifting that if anybody asked me for my Desert Island discs, I would have to include that. So identify the music that you got and that calls to you, and again, regard it as a kind of spiritual task, not just for amusement, not just for distraction, but something that actually does something, and you feel it in your system, right through your system, right? And that kind of intentionality with sound, as well as with colour, can be a really good combination for moving yourself through different situations, through different moments of difficulty, whether you need to feel calmed down or whether you need to feel energized, take up your sword and become Haniel, some warrior music. Think about that. Think about the archangels and the sounds, the archangels and the kind of music that they might play to you if you summoned them. And just see what happens. You could choose all kinds of music that that I don't know. I have mostly classical music, but not always. And it's like a palette of colour. There's a palette of sound, and sounds will have an effect on your vibrational field. So choose your sounds carefully and choose your words carefully. Well, we can do another video about words because that's a different kind of sound. I'm talking about musical sounds today. So choose your music wisely and choose your colours wisely, and then allow them to work their magic for you. Many blessings, and I'll be in touch again before very long. Keep shining.